Hey, you were talking about Diggs yesterday briefly. Obviously, he's got a lot of interceptions. He's also, these statistically, he's going to put a lot of yards both this year and last. So what do you see there? Is that a guy who gambles, or why the economy between really good and maybe guys a bit vulnerable?
Well, I think he does a great job of typically picking his spots and sometimes guessing, and I would say the majority of the time he guesses right. And then certainly when you play an aggressive style, you're susceptible at times to potentially getting beat. And so, but I think just around the league, I think everybody's got a lot of respect for this guy in terms of just his play style and his. Certainly, you can see his football intelligence on the field, and the guy is like a wide receiver out there playing corner. I mean, he's got tremendous ball skills, as good as anybody in the league.
Is Jonathan Abram here yet, and what has he done so far, if he is here?
I was told he's here. I think he's passed his physical. I have yet to meet with him, but he should be out there for practice.
What did the personnel department tell you about him when they were telling you they were picking him up? What are you getting?
In terms of the player?
Yeah, the player.
Well, I know just studying him coming out of the draft a few years back, I want to say he was in the same draft class as Elton. And we had Luke Getsy as our quarterback coach at the time, who had just come from Mississippi State, and he raved about him just as one of their leaders on their team. And I just remember him being a really physical football player, and so yeah, it's going to be great to get him in the fold and see how quickly he acclimates to our system, and see if we can potentially use him on defense or on defense as a safety.
You use him Sunday?
Potentially, we'll just kind of see where we're at. I don't want to take that off the table at this point, you know.
So what is the process of getting a guy up to speed midweek?
Oh, that's a great question in terms of just a lot of it is just, you know, how much carryover in some of the verbiage and core principles that he's had within, you know, when his time at the Raiders, how much carryover there is with our defense. And, you know, one benefit is that he is accustomed to Rich Bisaccia in terms of how Teams comes into factoring into his ability to get out there and contribute. So that is a big time plus.
When Zach Tom went in at right guard Sunday in Detroit, I was thinking about how last week he was focusing on left guard and left tackle and alternating. Could you talk about what that was like for him? Did he get any snaps at right guard last week, or maybe just a walk through? And how did he do his process?
Yeah, I can't tell you exactly how many snaps he's gotten throughout the course of the week in practice, but you know, I think our guys do a great job of rotating the majority of our linemen through, especially if you're a backup, primarily. And I think Zach's got a really big future in this league. I really do. I think he's just the versatility he's shown, the athleticism, obviously the intelligence. I think just to be able to go from whether it's inside or out, but to be able to go left to right, I think that is pretty remarkable, especially for a young player that maybe doesn't have the amount of banked reps throughout the course of whether it's, you know, practices, OTAs, training camp, whatever it may be. But I think he's definitely shown the moment's not too big for him, and that you can throw him in there, and whether it's finding out pregame or, you know, throughout the course of the week, I think he's handled it really well.
When you put the pads on in July, did his pass protection stand out right away?
Well, I think you could see his athleticism and his ability to just play with great technique and leverage. I think that's really helped him to be able to, you know, anchor down against some bigger guys, and whether it's inside or outside.
Now, what's been the reason for the reduction in motion you guys have been using? Is that part of the simplification of the offense, or is there other reasons involved?
I would say a lot of it is a byproduct of getting down in games and then doing our muddle huddle 2-minute type tempo, where typically if you know, around the league, I would say the majority of teams, when you get into more of a hurry up type situation, there's going to be less movement. And unfortunately, we've been down in too many games this year where we've had to resort to that. And I mean, I want to say, I know off the top of my head, there was 3 times specifically where we've gone to it pretty early in the second half. And then also just, there was another game earlier this year. The New York game was a great example, just with some of the pressures they were bringing, trying to identify and kind of keep it a little bit more spread out so we could see and try to take advantage of that. But I think every game is going to be a little bit different in terms of how we want to approach it. But for us, the big thing is to not get down in games. And then I think then you're going to be more in your traditional type offense and less in that hurry up mode.
Is it harder to call motions when you're doing the muddle huddle, or when you're, you know, doing 2-minute or whatever?
Yeah, I would say so, absolutely. I think the only time that, at least in my career, and I'm not saying that whether it's right or wrong, but the only time we've really done that is we majored in that in LA, where we had code names, but that was our offense, and that's pretty much all we really did every day. So it's just, you know, trying to find that balance, and you know, you just gotta, if you want to go that route, I think you gotta commit to it, like wholesale commitment to that. And now, when we were there, we were primarily an 11 personnel team, and there was less. I mean, we rarely ran 12, so, or 21.
Josiah DeGuara's gotten a lot more snaps these last couple games, had a bunch of catches Sunday. Just what have you kind of seen from him lately that's kind of resulted in these additional opportunities, and how has he kind of developed in strength?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. Just, I think you're starting to see a little bit of the versatility that we really liked in terms of being able to line him up in the backfield or line him up out as a receiver. You know, I think he's done a really nice job, and he's earned those opportunities. And quite frankly, guys go out there and they do the right things, that will continue to come for anybody.
You had, I think, 8 starters not practice yesterday, maybe give or take 1 or 2. Is the outlook better today?
Yeah, I think we'll have more guys back today, you know, in limited roles, but it'll be good to get some of those guys back.
David Elton among them?
Yes, they'll be limited.